Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Matthew back with Watty's channel. Once again, we are returning to the My Favorite Tag Team Tournament. We are finally in round 3, and that does mean we are combining all of the lines into one. So, Hasbro, LJN, Remco, Galoob. In this round, it doesn't matter who is going to face who. Is that going to make it even? Probably not. You know, a lot of times that larger 8-inch figure from LJN really gives it a step up when you compare it to some of those little smaller figures. But, I mean, sometimes I've talked about Hasbro growing up with those figures. So, you know, it's really hard to say, you know, one's going to have a leg up over the other. You know how much I covet the Hasbro. So, and even though Galoob might not be my favorite toy line, there are so many figures that I've had as a kid, and there's so many figures from that line that I absolutely love. So, you know, there really isn't a runaway tag team right now that I think is a bona fide champion. There's favorites, obviously, going over this tournament that I felt like had a legitimate chance of winning. But, you know, with a random drawing, you just never know, you know, there's just no guarantees with this tournament. So, per usual with every round, I like to recap the previous round's winners and give you a kind of an idea of who's going to partake in the current round. So, back in round 2 from Group A, LJN, the Mega Powers defeated Powers of Pain. The tandem of Sid and Barry defeated the Steiner Brothers. Mega Maniacs defeated the Twin Towers. The Killer Bees defeated the New Heart Foundation. The next video, Rhythm and Blues defeated the Dream Team. The custom British Bulldogs defeated Legion of Doom. And the Heart Foundation, which was the special Bret and Jim tag team customs, defeated Hillbilly Jim and Hulk Hogan tandem, as well as the Demolition tandem. So that was a one-on-one matchup. And then in Group B, the Hasbros, we saw the Mega Maniacs defeating the Smoking Guns. The Nasty Boy Customs defeated Money Incorporated. Demolition defeated Strike Force. The next video, Legion of Doom defeated Twin Towers. The Custom Steiner Brothers defeated both the original Steiners as well as Custom Rhythm and Blues. And then with Group C, Galoob, the entrance tandem of Luger and Sting, Dudes with Attitude, defeated the Freebirds. And then both U.S. version of Barry and Sid defeated Luger and Sting UK. And their U.S. version, Barry and Sid, defeated the Rick and Arn UK version. And of course, with the Group D Remco, we only saw one victor move forward. And that was when the High Flyers defeated both Road Warriors and the Freebirds. So, 1 tag team from Remco, 3 tag teams from Galoob, 5 tag teams from Hasbro, and we've got 7 tag teams from LJN. So, I am going to pull those names, put them in my little trusty hat here, and I am going to draw the competitors. Hopefully I got these all properly in order. I'm not missing anything. I think I got everything here. And I think this was the last of Galoob. Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anybody. Alright, just going to move this camera for a sec. And I'm glad I did, because I would have missed one tag team right there. And, yeah, that would have been the Remco tag team, as I suspected. Alright, so I'm probably going to do just 4 tag teams, just to see how much time this takes up. And if we get it through in about 30 minutes, maybe I'll push it out to 5 tag teams in the next video, but we'll see. Alright, so the first matchup is going to feature the US version of Sid and Barry. And I kind of messed this up because I didn't write Galoob or, you know, Hasbro, but it says US, so I'm assuming it's the Galoob version. So that should help me out. If it says US or UK on it, I'm going to assume it's the UK or the Gloop versions. Otherwise, it's going to be the LJN figures. And the Galoob US Sid and Barry are going to take on LJN Rhythm and Blues Customs. And matchup number 2, we're going to see Demolition from Hasbro square off against the Bret and Jim Custom from LJN. Okay, and then we're looking at the Legion of Doom from Hasbro as they square off against the Mega Powers, and that should be the LJN version. Alright, and then this one is going to be Steiner Brother Customs as they square off against the Sid and Barry Four Horsemen. So that's going to be the LJN version of Sid and Barry. So put those there. So we got 4 tag teams, and we're down to the last 16 tag teams. So pretty much every single tag team remaining at this point are legitimate champions, every single one of them. So there are no guarantees from this point forward. But I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to pull those tag teams, and in a split second for you guys, we'll get started. Alright, and we are back. The 8 tag teams have been pulled, and all I can say is wow. Because kind of looking at these tag teams, I feel like any one of these 8 tag teams are probably one of the 8 tag teams I would have chosen to win my tournament. So it's kind of funny. Now 2 of them are like, 2 of your, or 1/2 of your 4 horsemen with a tandem of Barry and Sid. But 2 of them are either your LJN or your Galoob version. And they have 3 different sets in here. So, if one set gets eliminated, not a big deal. You still got the Barry and Sid tandem in this competition. You eliminate 2 of them, you still got, your UK exclusive from Galoob. So, I mean, they did a fantastic job in this tournament throughout. So, but I'm not gonna eliminate a tag team just because there's other sets in here. If it ends, well, it's not gonna end up with 3 tag teams at the end. With 16 total tag teams, it's going to be an even number. So your semifinals is going to be 4 teams. Your finals are going to end up with 2 teams. So it's going to be even throughout from this point forward, which is great. But you could very well have 2 Sid and Barry teams at the end. It's possible. But like I said, just looking at what I have right here, it sucks because these are all legitimate potential winners. But let's start off with the very first matchup, which I said was going to feature the tandem, the US version from Galoob of US Series 1 Galoob, Sid Vicious and Barry Windham, as they take on the custom Rhythm and Blues LJN figures. So this is one set, and this is set number 2. So, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. It's going to be difficult making your selection from round 3 onward, and we should be at 6 total rounds with round 5 semifinals, round 6 finals. Because once you start pairing, your 8-inch figures up against, your 4-inch figures, your Galoob, Hasbro, Remco is probably like 5.5 inches, but, you're going to have a lot more enjoyment, and you're going to get a lot more detail with your 8-inch figures because it's just more body of a work to work with, and it's just a lot more pleasurable. Even though I've grown up with Hasbro and love the Hasbro line, and having laying claim that Galoob was my second favorite toy line for 98% of my lifespan. Again, they were my default number 2 toy company because I didn't have anything else. Yeah, they're gonna have a special meaning to me. These figures in particular, especially Sid Vicious. But when I've started my collecting, nothing has given me more joy in the collecting world than collecting LJNs, and particularly collecting custom LJNs. And I've said it before in one of my videos, as much as I love and appreciate originality, because of the uniqueness that a custom figure offers you, it gives you a brand new take, a whole new perspective. And it's something different that not everyone has. So yes, of course, I'm going to love and gravitate towards customs like crazy. And sometimes, and I say sometimes a lot, there's certain words I use a lot, sometimes being one of them. Sorry. But figures like, Honky Tonk Man, I acquire this figure so many times. I have many duplicates of the original, but I mean, how many customs of this guy do I have? Like at least 5, I would think, with one more coming in from Wrestling Riders. So I've already said before that Greg Valentine among the original LJN figures is already my 5th, favorite LJN action figure. And when I started acquiring these figures, right before I did my very first LJN tournament, I wanted to play with these guys because I never had them as a kid, so I really had no idea, how they played or, what the feel of the figures were like. So, and, I like to do my little Royal Rumbles and whatnot because I don't like single matches. Single matches, you sit there, you toss them around for like 2 minutes and you pin them and you're done. It's boring. Royal Rumble just seems like a lot of enjoyment, so I always do that. And this was one that I just kept gravitating towards. And every time I got some new figures in, obviously I kept doing more and more matches because I wanted to keep getting that feel for the figures. I just could not get rid of this guy. I never made him a winner because, in my eyes, Greg Valentine was never that major superstar. But the figure was just so much fun. Maybe not the best pose ever, but he's most definitely a playable figure. Honky Tonk Man is an awesome figure. I love the character back in the day. I mean, he's one of those characters I can actually remember. There's not too many 1980s characters that, transitioned to the 1990s that were still pretty active and pretty much still superstars. I think Honky Tonk Man was still that guy. Rhythm and Blues as a tag team, not so much with the nostalgia with them. I mean, I know these guys they're like Heart Foundation for me. I know them better as individual wrestlers than I ever did as a tag team combination. Their figures are just so absolutely fantastic. And with this color scheme, there is no doubt that you're talking about a couple of the most elite figures on the planet. I don't care what figures you're pitting these two against. These are going to transcend any kind of matchup you go against. LJN, originality, custom, you want to pit them against thumb wrestlers, bendies, whatever. You want to put them against He-Man figures. These are such elite action figures, period. But then, what do we get into? We get into the nostalgia part of the video. And even though I don't have all of that with, the Barry Windham figure, again, this is still, in my eyes, a 2-year-old figure because I never had this as a kid. And these two figures, I've talked about it plenty. They work so well together. How many times have I said, if you were locked up and you had the option to have all of the Galoob figures, or you could have just these two figures, if you had all these two figures only to play with, you'd be sad because these are phenomenal. And why do I love the Barry Windham figure? He's just another Greg Valentine figure, so it's absolutely amazing. It's so much fun to to play. And of course, Sid Vicious. The one figure that Hasbro could never emulate. He had a perfect pose. He was a sturdy figure. You unlike the Hasbro, you drop this off the table, you weren't worrying about their arms busting off or whatnot. Our Undertaker from Series 4, I don't know how long we had that with a right extended arm busted off, and like we still had to play with it without the with the elbow forward being missing. We had to kind of use as like a phantom limb, kind of using as a punching whatnot. Why? Because Hasbro, it's very common for those figures to break. They're very soft plastic. It's very breakable figures. With Galoob, they definitely did a whole lot better. And I forget who it was. Was it Michael Graham or someone? Someone recently referred to them as miniature statues. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, that's exactly what they are. And this particular figure, perfect. Sid Vicious will always go down, I think, as my all-time favorite figure. I absolutely love the pose. The figure itself is just absolutely amazing. The wrestler himself, did he mean all that much to me? No. If this was like a Hulk Hogan figure, yeah, this would definitely be absolute perfection. But I wasn't hating on Sid Vicious. I wasn't hating on Sid Justice when he came over, to WWF and whatnot. It's just a perfect figure. And with Barry Windham matching up so perfectly, can I eliminate the one figure that I've cared about literally my entire life for the most part against two absolutely amazing, not just an awesome wrestlers that made up a good, good tandem for a tag team, but just the perfect figures? I have to. These should be, in this type of tournament, these should be your winners. If not your winners, they should be in the last two standing, among the last two, in finals. That's how good these figures are. At the very least, semi-finalist. And that's what sucks about doing it this way with the whole random drawing, because you don't know who you're going to pit them against, and you really can't plan ahead and kind of think about the way that you want to situate the figures. I love this tandem. I love these particular customs. They're no doubt absolute elite among my custom collection. And I keep saying, I feel like the only figures that are going to be able to remove a Sid and Barry from competition are another Sid and Barry tag team. Now, is that going to hold true throughout the rest of the tournament? I don't know. The 3 different tag teams of these guys, are they all going to make it 4, 5, 6 rounds? Maybe not. But they all could be eliminated next round. A couple of them could be eliminated this round. Who knows? But at the very least, this particular set, the version I actually had as a kid, with nostalgia and everything else coming into play, of course, I have to keep, Sid Vicious and the Barry Windham tag team in for as long as possible. So, the first version of Galoob does move on to round 4. And so, Sid and Barry goes there. This is trash now. The next tandem is going to feature the Bret and Jim Customs against Demolition from Hasbro. And again, I keep referring to them simply as Bret and Jim and not the Hart Foundation. Yes, they are regular Hart Foundation figures, but because they're special designs from different customizers, they don't have that same look to it. So here is the first set. And what do I talk about every single time I bring these particular figures up? I talk about the team that I created to win this tournament. and it doesn't even look like that's going to happen. They go up against... shoot. I wish I had bigger hands. It's really hard to hold all these figures. They go up against the Hasbro Demolition. Oddly enough, last year when I did my... what was the title of the video? I forgot what I titled it. It was something like My Favorite Tag Team Figures or something. And I was looking at like all the different Hasbro tag teams. And I think I had some like makeshift tag teams in there as well. Like I created Strike Force, like I did in this tournament, etc. And I had Demolition towards the bottom. Like they were like number 15 out of 16 teams or something. And to this day, I still have no idea what I was thinking. For so many reasons. One, Demolition, a true legitimate powerhouse tag team. Their look was amazing. Their figures are about the best there is from the whole Hasbro line. I don't know how I rated them so low. It just made no sense. Like I think I put the Rockers at like number 16. And not because I dislike the Rockers, but because I dislike their figures. I don't know. I think some of the things that may have gotten me is the whole Orton backhand that Crush does, and because so many different characters have this little arm press I don't like. Well, at least with Smash, the figures that have this pose is like one of my favorites, so I don't understand why I would have done that, but like I said, Demolition are elite members, and the good thing about this particular tag team is you're looking at 3 members and not 2. So that extra member does give them an extra leg up. So if you are looking at a final determining factor, if you're looking at Demolition as a two-member team, and you're trying to find something that's going to put one or the other over the top, by adding in a Crush figure, you'd have to figure that this would be the one thing that would move them above the competition. I started watching SummerSlam 1990 the other day, and you had the tag team champions of Demolition squaring off against the Hart Foundation. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, when I hear the Hart Foundation still tagging up in the 1990s, I can understand tagging up in the 1980s, but I kind of feel like by the 1990s, even if it is very early 1990, I kind of feel like at that point they should have already been broken up, and Bret Hart should have been like his own man by that point. But Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart finally being able to defeat the Demolition and regain their titles. That SummerSlam was really boring for the most part. The one thing I did like about it is kind of seeing Nikolai Volkov kind of jump shift and kind of tag team with Jim Duggan and take on the Orient Express. Orient Express always seems to like highlight these different matchups, Royal Rumbles and SummerSlams and Survivor Series and whatnot, but they're always on the losing end, always falling to like the Rock. The Rockers always seem to be like their go-to tag team against them, and they always fall to them. So I don't know, but here is another such example where I kind of feel like that 8-inch compared to 4-inch difference is really going to make your difference. Maybe if I did have the Demolition Tag Team Hasbro as a kid, maybe that nostalgic part of it would have played a role and maybe feel a little bit differently. I absolutely love the look of the Demolition figures, and their face paints are all so amazing. But when it comes to the LJN Hart Foundation figures, I've already said Jim Neidhart is a top 10 among the greatest LJN figures based on his fighting pose. I don't like the fact that they made him extra slim. because I've never seen Jim Neidhart so skinny in my life. I think that custom junkyard dog figure that I have, that right there is a much better rendition of Jim Neidhart. But he still has an amazing pose, better than Bret Hart, of course. But as I've said before, with the look of the Bret Hart figure, the accessory, this still is one of the most elite figures of my entire collection. And when I was doing my top 5 favorite figures, or my top 5 keepsakes, I had Bruiser Brody on that list, but the Bret Hart was one of those figures where it was really hard for me to keep off that top 5. But I kind of feel like this has to be like a top 10 of your house is burning down. What's the 5 items or 10 items you're gonna grab? This has to be one of them. I absolutely love this figure. Amazing. I don't know if the Hart Foundation is that good anymore to win the whole tournament, but when I assembled these 2 particular figures, I actually thought I was creating the perfect tandem, but we'll see. I am pushing the Hart Foundation past Demolition into round 4, and after 3 strong showings, Demolition is done after 3 rounds. Alright. Next matchup is going to feature the Mega Powers LJNs as they square off against Legion of Doom. So first things first, the last Legion of Doom characters or figures remaining in this tournament. I think Legion of Doom actually had the most tag teams in this tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So they had 2 different LJN tag teams. They had the Hasbro and they had the Remcos. So 4 different tag teams. And I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that really had as many. I think some of the other tag teams that had just as many had like 3. Hart Foundation, for example, had like 3 different tag teams. The ones we just saw, the original, and I had like a blue pants variant. Again, if I had these figures as a kid, as a Series 4 released in 1992, I would have been 7 years old. These things would have been, they would have been destroyed. These spikes would have been all busted off. The fingers would have been broken. Not because, I was necessarily rough with my figures, but me and my older brother, plus my younger brother, we were all sharing our toys, our wrestlers and everything. We had a little side drawer. All of our wrestlers or anything that we used as wrestling figures, we kept in that drawer. So there's no doubt that, playing with these and, doing our rumbles, dropping the figures, picking up someone else to wrestle and whatnot, there's no doubt that these spikes would have busted off at some point and probably even broken off the fingers and whatnot. Maybe had like loose arms and stuff. I still say Legion of Doom. I don't know if I would necessarily classify these as top 15 figures anymore. Maybe top 20, top 25. Still among the cream of the crop of the Hasbro line. Absolutely love the figures. Don't really like the whole fuse legs per usual. But at least they gave the figures different body poses. At least that's something to consider. I don't know if I'm based on this particular matchup. At this point, I don't know if it's a strong possibility for me to push them into round 4, because they are going up against the Mega Powers. Are the Mega Powers action figures the best figures of this entire tournament? No, they're not. A Series 5 Hulk Hogan is nothing more to me than a commemorative piece, a display piece. It's not a figure that you would use for play. Again, with a Series 1 Hulk Hogan from LJN, the most perfect wrestling action figure ever. If you have it, you're going to use your Series 1 Hogan. For a piece like this, And because of the general, even if it's a beat up Series 5 or Series 6 re release, even a beat up piece, you're still, because of the value of it, you're still, even a massive paint loss, you're still looking at $100 figures. So, uh, today I wouldn't want to use it for that purpose, but I'm sure there are people who do use them, and I do watch a lot of videos where some content makers do use their Series 5 Hogan in their matches, and it works for them, and they got, what I like is they use the Series 5 and they kind of like put a mask on it, create different characters. I think that's pretty awesome too. So you're still getting use out of your Series 1 Hogan. Recently I just bought a Paul Orndorff using a Series 1 Hogan. Series 1 Hogan body, so I mean I think that's going to be pretty sweet. Just going to kind of running out of space on my custom shelves, but I've said it so many times. I just wish that these guys were so much more than what they were. To me, they're just simply individual wrestlers. I mean, I don't. You could tag them up every now and then with certain folks, but like putting Hogan with like Ricky Steamboat as an example. I mean, yeah, or I think putting Macho Man with like Ultimate Warrior. I think that was super awesome. But, I mean, that was about as smart as kind of putting him with Hogan. Because it's egos, man. I mean, what do I talk about? It's like LeBron or, not LeBron. It's like Kobe and Shaq. I don't watch basketball, so I don't even know whose LeBron teammate would be. So I know the name, but I have no idea who his teammates would be, so I can't really use him as an example. But, Kobe and Shaq. So you got two major powerhouses, two great superstars. Both of them wanting to score 50+ points a game. Someone is going to be upset that they're hogging the ball and scoring all the points, not passing it to the other guy to score. So same thing. You're going to have one guy in the ring wanting to do all the work, not really want to tag in or tag out to let the other guy have the showcase. 87 to 89. That's when these guys were active together. Definitely the pinnacle highlight of these guys' careers. Both superstars going back and forth with the championship, winning it from each other, or watching Hogan win it back from Macho Man. I'm going to choose Mega Powers. As far as playable figures, yeah, Legion of Doom. As far as a legitimate tag team, yes, Legion of Doom. As far as look and I don't want to say codependency, but as far as how they work together, yes, Legion of Doom. But two of the best wrestlers of my life, I just can't do it. I just can't pass on these guys. I mean, are these guys going to win the tournament? Hogan and Macho Man against the Hart Foundation in the finals. Does that happen? Right now, I'm kind of leaning that way. That's kind of like where I'm going. I don't know if that's how it's going to play out, but I've made some obvious some head scratching decisions over time, so that's my guess. If I was a betting man, that's how I would see it. But again, don't quote me because things can be completely different. Both teams could be gone in the fourth round. You never know. All right, so where was I at? Legion of Doom is gone, and Mega Powers are still in, and then the custom Steiner Brothers are going to be taking on the Sid and Barry Four Horsemen LJNs Alright, so this is one I think, well, they all got to me. But I think this is one in particular as well. Because now you're returning back to the Galoob style LJNs of the Four Horsemen, which we've already seen the actual physical Galoob version. And we're going against, quite possibly, whether you like the original or the customs, I do believe that these particular customs might actually be the single greatest customs or single greatest Hasbros of the entire collection. And that includes all the figures. And in the last video, I talked about reasons why. Yes, the built-on, jackets really give it that really extra oomph, which is awesome. But I love the fact that they changed out the arms and gave them what I classify as the best arm positioning for the Hasbro figures. So not only did you give them an awesome extra look, but you upgraded their arm positioning, so they're much more better playable figures. And if these are going to be classified as my favorite, or possibly my favorite Hasbro figures, then can I at least potentially remove Sid and Barry LJN from this competition, knowing that I've already moved the Galoob version out of this tournament? I said I didn't want to do that just because. Now, the Galoob LJN 2-ups, these have been in existence for what? A year? So it's not like any kid or anything, or even adults. I mean, I don't think any adult that buys these, though, are really, sitting there and wrestling with these. Even those guys out there that kind of, create their little wrestling videos and have a blast. I mean, who am I kidding? I've tried wrestling with these guys myself. But because they're brand new and I'm always concerned about damaging the paint job on the figures, that's the only reason why I think I really don't mess with the wrestlers, why I don't wrestle them the way I probably would love to, because I don't want to ruin the paint. I mean, that's the whole purpose. Otherwise, I would kill the wrestle. 8-inch figures and the rubber, you don't have to worry about damaging them. Shoot. This would be even more fun than this. So, all right. I think we're hovering around 40 minutes now. God, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean the video to be this long. I hate to make a quick decision, a rash decision, but I am going to stick with Sid and Barry. Don't get me wrong, I still cherish the heck out of these figures. I think they're absolutely remarkable. But until these guys face off against themselves, I just don't know if I can eliminate them until that happens. Or until they face Hogan and Savage, or Heart Foundation or something, or Mega Maniacs or something like that. Because at that point, when the choices really, really get difficult, Steiner Brothers, great tag team. I really enjoyed them, but were they my favorite? They were not. So that part of it didn't really do much for me. And even though I don't really know that much about Barry Windham as a wrestler, Sid Vicious / Sid Justice, at least that was something. And, his Galoob figure will always mean the world to me. So, of course, anything that involves this particular figure, it's going to go very deep in any tournament I do. So, both Galoob Series 1 versions push forward round 4. Alright, so the original plan was to come down here and probably make like 3 or 4 videos for, for this video, or for this round. Try and knock out, well, what I say, four matchups per video. So, yeah, four matchups per video, so 4 videos to knock out all 16. No. So, 8, so 2 videos. Yeah, I'll stay down here and make one more video, why not? I've been kind of slacking lately. Normally I come down here and make like 4 or 5 videos at a time, and last couple times I've come down here to film videos, I've only made like 2 videos each time, so I'll stay down here for one more video. That way it's going to be in queue, ready to go. And at a 40-minute video, I'm probably not going to be posting a new video after this anytime soon. It'll probably be like 3, 4, 5 days later anyways, just to give you guys enough time to watch this. And you might have to take a 20-minute break in between or something. I don't know. Watch 20 minutes, come back the next day, watch the last 20 minutes. I don't know. Or maybe you'll watch it straight through. But that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the comments in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.